Yo, guys, what's up? Let's learn how to place customers on hold with polite requests. How would you like to sound like a professional? How would you like to sound very polite with your customers? How would you like to have less pushback from customers providing you information or cooperating with you? Well, let me show you a key how to do that. You do it by sounding polite with customers. Here are some examples for you. Number one, Mr. Customer, would you mind holding the line for 2 minutes? I need to update the system. Thank you, sir. Number two, Mr. Customer, would it be okay if I place you on hold for no more than 2 minutes? It'll just be a brief wait. Thank you, sir. Number three, Mr. Customer, do you mind if I asked you a couple of questions about your service? Thank you, sir. Appreciate your cooperation. Number four, Mr. Customer, um, would you mind answering a survey after this call? It's about your experience with me today. Thank you, sir. And number five, Mr. Customer, my apologies, I did not catch that. Do you mind repeating that for me again, please? Perfect. So you're just going to sound awesome with these modal verbs, and I'm sure your customers are going to cooperate with you because you just sound so polite. So how do we do it? Okay, in order to do this, we need to use modals for polite requests. Basically, there are three structures, right? And these are going to be used to request information, right? Ask your customer to request information. You're requesting information very politely. So here you're going to use the phrase, do you mind or would you mind, plus a verb in the ing form after the phrase. This is necessary for grammar. But let's go to the phrase here. Do you mind? What does it mean? Here, the verb mind does not mean literally like your mind, like your way of thinking. No. Here it means more like, is it a problem? So when you ask somebody, let's say that you're at a food court and it's busy, right? And you need a chair for your girlfriend, right? You go to the table next door. Excuse me, do you mind if I take this chair? Right? What does it mean? Is it a problem? Is it a problem if we take this chair? Right? Or yeah, let's say that let's say you need assistance. You need to use a you need to request a break. Right? You're in a meeting. It's been like 2 hours, and you need to request a break, but politely. So you just raise your hand. Hey, excuse me. Would you mind taking a break for now? Yeah, we need to get some refreshment, some water. Thank you. Do appreciate that. Okay. So what you're saying is it a problem if we take a break? You understand? So that's what the phrase means. Do you mind or would you mind just simply means, is it a problem? Is it an inconvenience for you? Right? And then you make your request. So your request has to be a verb in the ing form. Okay. So that's very important. For example, do you mind waiting online? Would you mind repeating that? Do you mind providing me your account number? Would you mind saying that again, please? Right. So you're using the verb in the ing. This is key. Okay. Now, since remember what you're saying, remember that you're saying, is it a problem? Right. So you're asking the person, in other words, you're telling them, is it a problem doing this? And the person, right, how to respond? Well, there are two ways. So if there's no problem, right, this is not an inconvenience, you can do it, then you're going to say no, right? But why? Because it's not a problem. So would you mind repeating that again, please? Yeah, sure. No problem. No problem. I can do that. Would you mind giving me another explanation? No, I don't mind. I don't mind. Sure, I can repeat it for you. Um, would you mind lending me your laptop for 5 minutes? I need to send an email. Oh, of course I wouldn't mind. Sure, take it. Nobody's using it. Okay, great. Um, let's say, for instance, would you mind holding the line for 2 minutes? I need to update the system. No, I wouldn't mind. Go ahead, take your time. It's fine by me as long as you fix it. Right? So here we're saying no because there's no problem with the request. But if there is a problem, an issue, an inconvenience, you can't do it, then we're going to say, yes, I got a problem with that. So for example, Do you mind if we take this chair? Yes, I do mind. As a matter of fact, this my girlfriend's coming, so sorry, can't take it. Okay. Or for example, hey, listen, do you mind if we do you mind sending that report again? And I'm gonna say, yes, I do mind because I'm a little bit busy, so I'll send it to you later. Okay. So that means I do mind, or yes, I would mind, right? If the request is something that you cannot accept, like, hey, listen, would you mind lending me your shoes? What? Yeah, would you mind lending me your shoes? Yeah, I would mind. Are you crazy? They're my shoes, right? So you're saying I wouldn't mind. It would be a problem. It would be an inconvenience. Okay. So we say yes. We respond with a yes. When you have a problem or you can't do it, you cannot do this request. Okay. So that's why we say here, because we say yes, because we're responding to this question, right? So this, is it a problem, is in parentheses when you say, do you mind or would you mind? So that's why we say the no and the yes. Okay. Just make sure to use the verb in the ing form. Okay. Now, moving on to the advanced structures with if. Let's take a look at the advanced structures with if. Okay. Now with the advanced structures. Okay. Let's take a look at the advanced structures for polite requests, this time using a conditional, right? Followed by a verb. There are two ways of doing this. There's just a little nuances or changes with the grammar. The first one is, do you mind if plus the verb in the base form? And the second one is, would you mind if plus the verb in the past tense or participle tense? Okay, so it's the same idea, right? Do you mind? Is it a problem? Would you mind? Is it a problem? So, do you mind if? Is it a problem if? Would you mind if? Is it a problem if? That's what it means. And then you make your request, right? After the if with the verb, right? The verb. You're going to use the present tense verb with the auxiliary do, and you're going to use the past verb or participle verb with the modal would. Okay, so I got some examples here on the board. Here's number two. Number two is, would it be okay if I placed you on hold for no more than 2 minutes? So here, notice the verb, the ed, right? Why is it in ed form here? Because I'm using would. Okay, I'm using would. That's why. Let's change it a little bit. Let's say, would it be okay if we took a 10-minute break? Would it be okay if we took a 10-minute break? Yeah. Hey, listen, would it be okay if we took a 10-minute break? Yeah. I'm using took, which is the past tense of take, because I got would in this one. Now let's take a look at number three. Do you mind if I ask, do you mind, don't nobody look at that. Do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions? In this case, we're going to use the present tense verb ask because we got the modal do, right? So we're going to use the verb in the present tense. Do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions, right? Verb in the present tense. Or let's give you another example. Do you mind if I take a picture with you, right? Let's say, do you mind if I take a picture with you, right? Well, let's say you see Megan Fox, right? And you, hey, Megan, do you mind if I take a picture with you? Thank you. Take a selfie. Right? Do you mind if I take a selfie with you? Right? Here I'm using take because I got do. Because I got do. So when the verb is in, when you're using do, then the verb needs to be in the present tenses. Okay? And that's it. That's it. So that's the only little tricky thing that you need to do to avoid the grammar police, right? Because if not, the grammar police is going to catch you for the grammar mistakes. Okay, so that's it. That's it, and it should be rather easy. for you to make the request like that. Okay, so that'll be the takeaway. Okay, so in short, you're going to use the polite requests, right? The do or would you mind plus the verb in the ing form, or do you mind if plus the verb in the present, or would you mind if plus the verb in the past. Remember that the phrase do you mind or would you mind means is it a problem, in parentheses. Is it a problem doing this request? Okay. People will answer like this. If they have no problem with their request, they're going to say, no, I'm cool. No problem. If they have a problem, they'll say, yes, I got a problem, right, with your request. Okay, so that's how it works. Now we're going to practice a little bit. We got some activities for you guys to check out. Cool. All right, guys, let's talk about the materials here. We got do you mind or would you mind plus the gerund. So these modal phrases, that's what they're called for politeness, are used to ask for permission politely. So we use them for requests when we're requesting things from people. The verb mind here means troubled or annoyed. So it doesn't mean like your brain, like when you're thinking thoughts. Always use the ing form or the gerund form. Here are some examples for you to check out. Do you mind and would you mind? Okay, I'll read over a couple and you guys can help me out. Here's this. Do you mind answering the door? Do you mind filling in this form for me? Do you mind calling me back later? Right now is not a good time. Do you mind taking a moment to answer a survey? I would really appreciate it. Do you mind giving me more details? I want to know more about you. If you're going out, do you mind picking up some contracts or picking up the contracts? I would appreciate it. Next, do you mind helping me with this project? Okay, so got all those examples in the ing form. Now let's hop on over to the next one with would you mind? It's the same thing. Just use the verb in the ing form. No biggie. So here it says, would you mind providing me your order number, please? Would you mind holding the line? I need to check on my end. Would you mind answering some questions? Would you mind showing me your presentation? Would you mind opening your textbooks to page 56? I'm busy right now. Would you mind taking over the meeting, please? Would you mind waiting for a minute? I need to check my audio settings. Would you mind keeping me in the loop of things? Copy me on every email, please. Okay, as you can see, ing forms. ing forms here. All right, so make sure to do that with the do you mind or would you mind. Now let's go to would you mind plus if. The would you mind is with if is a bit more formal compared to the do you mind, but it's the idea is the same pretty much. Again, we're requesting for permission politely. The phrase here, do you mind or would you mind, means is it okay with you? Is it a problem? Do you understand? That's what it means. In terms of the structure, we're going to use both the phrases, do you mind or would you mind, plus if, plus the subject, and a verb. But there's going to be a little change, like I already explained. Use the present form of the verb with do you mind, and use the participle form of the verb with would you mind, which is just a simple past tense. Okay? Here are some examples to better elaborate this. So it says here, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions? Do you mind if I use your bathroom? You mentioned you needed more data. Do you mind if I ask you why? Do you mind if I take this call? I'm expecting a call from an interview. Do you mind if we think about it for a couple of days before giving you an answer? Do you mind if we send the technician tomorrow? Do you mind if we take a break? We've been working back to back today. Okay. And now with would you mind? Would you mind if I asked you or asked what motivated you to contact us? Would you mind if I asked how many people connect to the internet in your home? Would you mind if I asked you who is your current internet provider? Would you mind if we took a moment to think about it? I gotta talk to my wife about this decision. She's the boss. So would you mind if if we took let's say a week to give you a decision before we sign the contract? Would you mind if would you mind at all? No? Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. I'm in the middle of something. Would you mind if I called you in an hour? Sorry. Would you mind if we scheduled a meeting for next week? How's your availability for next week? Right? Scheduled. Scheduled. Look at the verb. ING form. Okay. So that's how you would ask. Now, in terms of the answers, how to answer, this is how you answer depending if you have a problem or don't have a problem with a request. If you do not have a problem with a request, you're going to say no, no. Would you mind calling me back later, buddy? I'm a bit busy. No, 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 I don't mind. That's all right with me. Would you mind if I use your bathroom? Ah, go ahead. Right. Hey, listen. Would you mind lowering the music down? No, I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind lowering that music down. Okay. Hey, listen. Would you mind if I placed you on hold for 2 minutes? No, not at all. Go ahead. Hey, listen. Would you mind if I used your computer for a bit? No, absolutely not. Go ahead. Nobody's using it. Okay. Now, if you do have a problem with a request, you're gonna say yes, I do, or yes, I have a problem with that. So, for example, listen. Would you mind if I asked you to come work tomorrow? Um, yes, I do mind. It's my break. Tomorrow I'm on vacation. Hey, listen, would you mind if I borrowed your Netflix password? Yes, I would mind. Right? I wouldn't want you to, you know, this is not correct. That wouldn't be correct. Right. Hey, listen, would you mind if I borrowed $100? I'm sorry, I can't. Yes, I can't. I wouldn't mind because I can't. Um, listen, would you mind giving me an extension, a 5-day extension on the payment? Oof, I'm sorry, I do mind. I'm afraid that you can't have an extension at this time. Hey, listen, um, would you mind if I borrowed your cell phone? Absolutely, of course I wouldn't mind. It's private stuff, buddy. I don't want you to see it. Okay? So that's how you answer. So here's some examples of a request and a way to answer. So, would you mind if I ask you a couple of questions? Not at all. Go ahead. That means you don't have a problem with a request. Do you mind if we talk for a moment? I'm sorry, I can't. I'm busy. That means you have a problem. Hey, would you mind if I sit here? Yes, I would. Somebody's sitting here already. That means you have a problem. Do you mind telling me what motivated you to buy? No, I don't mind. Yes, go ahead. Ask me anything you want. Would you mind answering a quick survey? I'm afraid I can't. Maybe later? That means you have a problem. Do you mind waiting on hold for 2 minutes? Not at all. That means you don't have a problem. Would you mind repeating that? Absolutely not. I'll say it again. That means you don't have a problem with the request. Okay, guys, so there you go. That's how you would answer it. We have some cool activities, very cool activities to solidify the use of the modals in the next hour. So don't miss it out. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. All right, guys. So there you go. I hope you guys learn how to use the modals and request information from your customers politely.